Good morning, Joy here. It is Wednesday, October 21st, 2015. And one of you asked me just a couple days ago, I think it was Ann, my friend Ann, how I do my applique and how I get it so good around the pieces that I'm appliquing. Now, the answer to that, honestly, if I don't do another second of this video, is practice, practice, practice. That's the real way to learn to do it well. But I'm going to try now. I'm here by myself, and so it's hard for me to get the camera situated just right. I have my last two owls, which both have a mistake. They have a 1/2 inch at the bottom, and they're only supposed to have a 1/4 inch. I'm very upset with myself for doing that. This one has a 1/2 inch at the bottom too. Hey, actually, no, they're fine. You know why? I haven't stitched around them yet. And so I don't finally trim them to 11.5 by 12.5 until after I've stitched around them. So they're not broken. Yay, I'm so excited. I did have one that really was broken though, and I had to fix him. Okay, so what you do when you're going to applique something is you always cut your background bigger than how it's going to be when it's finished, okay? And so this one's cut bigger because when you sew all around with all that stitching, it shrinks, just like when you quilt, it shrinks it. So always make sure your background's bigger than you finally want it, okay? Now, another very, very important thing, probably the most important thing, is getting your sewing machine set up so you can sew with the pedal to the metal. Is that how you say it? Pedal to the metal? Fast, and just look right where you're going down the road and hold your fingers there and not have to look up at your thread. Now, I don't know about other people's machines, but these Berninas, and I have 8 of them, as you know, I have never had one that doesn't do this, and I have done satin stitching on all of them. In fact, some guy out there invented an attachment that you can use to guide your thread, and I have it at my other house on my other embroidery machine. My Elissimo doesn't need it. But anyway, just a tip for you Bernina owners. The thread wants to always, when you're sewing real fast, it always wants to pop out of this guide right here. So I wrapped this paper clip, this is the handle of my sewing machine, and I wrapped this paper clip around here and I put a little loop in it. So when my thread comes off of the spool, I put it through this little tiny loop right here, and then I thread the machine. Now, even that doesn't stop it from popping out. One other thing you have to do, and let me see if I can find the little hoosie so I can show you. Where did I put you? Well, this isn't it, but this is one like it. This is a piece of netting, and it's made to go around the spools of thread. And it really does work to keep the thread from popping out of this guide right here. The only problem is, this is made for a really fat spool of thread, and these are isocord spools and they aren't that fat. And I have a tighter little net here someplace. I hope I can find it. I have done so many owls, y'all. Oh, I hope I didn't throw it away. No, it's not in there. Well, let me pause you for a second, and I'll be right back when I find the little net so I can show you how to set it up right, okay? Okay. I realize my head's cut off now, but that's okay. You don't need my head. I'm going to start by appliquing around a circle. See the big circle this owl's eyes are on? I'm going to start by appliquing around that circle. Now, I don't know how good a picture I can get of this, you guys, but I'm going to try for you, okay? Now, listen, don't forget you can just go to YouTube, go to search, and put how to applique, and you can probably find a bunch of really, really good videos on how to do it. That's how I learned to do a lot of stuff. Okay, so the first thing you do is you have to have a whole bunch of thread. I really like this isocord because it doesn't shrink and it doesn't fade. It's really nice thread. And so you find a color. If you could see the side here, I've got 20 spools of thread sitting here. Find the color. Start to unwind it. You have to pop these at the bottom and unwind them. Then take the net. Here's the net. And this one's much tighter than that last one that I had. I mean, if it's not tight, you might as well not put it on there. And then you put it up over the bottom, because if you put it up over the top, it's going to hide your thread. Okay, so here's the thread coming out the top, and the net is on. All right? So now you put it on the spool. It has to come off sideways because of the way it's wound. Although, if I'm just doing a little area, sometimes I'll put it on the up-down spool and leave the netting off. If you're just going a little ways, it seems like the sewing machine doesn't get flustered if you're just going a little ways. Okay, so now I'm going to stick the thread through this eye that I made. On your sewing machine, you probably won't have to do that. Then thread it as usual. Okay, now another thing that you want to do when you're setting up for applique is you want to take your bobbin out and you want to tighten the tension on it. Maybe a 1/4 turn. I tighten it so I have to pull just gently. I have to pull gently. If I hold the bobbin by the thread and let it dangle, the bobbin doesn't fall at all. I have to pull it a little bit to get it to come out, and that's kind of the tension that I like. Why do I do that? Because if you don't do that, your bobbin thread is going to show on the top, and you don't want your bobbin thread to show on the top. You want your top thread to pull to the bottom. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do these circles here, and what I do is I start on straight stitch. Let me turn my sewing machine on. That's good, Steph. Okay, I start on straight stitch. So I set it on straight stitch and then I move the stitch length way down to like 3 lines on mine. It's down on the 0 now. If I had it all the way down to nothing and then I went up like 3 steps, okay? And so then I start sewing about 3 or 4 stitches with a straight stitch, okay? Then I put it on zigzag. Same thing on the zigzag. I move the stitch length way down to 0, and then I come up like 3, like just two dashes on that one, because I like my satin stitching close together. A whole lot of people, Edita Sitar, saw her do this the other day. A whole lot of people do just a thin zigzag far apart, and they zigzag around, and basically you can't even see it that way. And what I'm trying to do is make it look like I colored a picture in a coloring book and I outlined everything, okay? I like it to be a solid outline. So that's why I do mine close together. Then you have to determine, are you doing a pupil in the eyeball or are you doing his belly? You know, how big of a circle are you doing? How big of a piece? Doesn't have to be a circle, straight line, curved circle. To determine how wide you want your zigzag, okay? So I'm going to put mine at 3 because this is a pretty big circle. And yes, 3 looks really good on it. Okay, I'm going to try to set my camera up so you can get a really close in. I haven't ever done that before, but I'm going to try. So hold on with me 1 second, okay? All right, y'all. I'm rolling up next to this tripod here with these 3 spindly legs, so hopefully I won't run into them. Trying to situate my legs and everything, and I hope you guys can see. I have also my open toe foot, number 20 on here. I want to be able to see in this middle area here so I can see the edge of this circle, because I want to sew so my needle just hits the outside of this circle as I'm going around, okay? Now, when I'm sewing, what am I looking at? I'm not looking up here at the thread. I'm not looking at the needle going up and down. I'm not looking at where I just sewed. I'm looking at my road. I'm looking at my road ahead that I'm getting ready to follow, okay? So this is where my eyes are. Let me get something to point with. My eyes are looking right here in front of the needle. And I'm going to follow this circle, this owl's eyeball, I'm going to follow this circle all the way around. Okay? All right. Now, I usually go pretty fast. You don't have to, but I like to go fast. I don't know, somehow I seem to have more control that way. But you eat up quite a bit of thread that way. I have not checked my bobbin but I think I have plenty of bobbin thread. Okay, so I've sewn with my 3 little straight stitches. Now I'm in zigzag. I've got it set at a width of 3 and a length of like 2 little dots at the 0, okay? So here we go. Now, when you're doing a circle, and when you do applique, you always, always, always want needle down. Always, 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 always needle down. It's your third hand. I just sewed like 1/8 of an inch. Now I'm going to use my knee lever over here that lifts the presser foot. See the presser foot go up and down? I do that with my knee. And I'm going to turn it slightly. I'm going to turn my road slightly because if I don't turn, I'm going to sew a straight line. Well, a straight line isn't going to do me any good on a circle, is it? Okay, so a few stitches, see, turn. A few stitches, turn, turn. That's a secret to a circle. You have to constantly turn. Now, if you have a really big circle, you don't have to turn so much. And I really need some glasses on, but I think I can see it well enough. I hope you guys can see. I'm sure you can see back here where I've done. Every time I stop, I'm stopping on the outside. You have to stop on the outside of the circle before you turn, or you're going to end up with a pie-shaped piece that isn't covered. If I was to stop with the needle in here and turn, my next stitch would be up this way, and there would be a piece of fabric not sewn yet. So when you're doing a circle or an outside curve, you always stop your needle on the outside, okay? Very, very important. If you don't, you'll figure out real quick it doesn't look good. Come back and clip your thread off here. All right, now I'm going back to the inside instead of the outside, and I'm back on straight stitch, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 little straight stitches. Okay? So there is eyeball number 1. Can you see it? Can you see that eyeball? Let me see, there's no light here. Let me see if I can shine a light on it and you can see it. How's that? How's that? Can you see it now? Yeah. Pretty cool, eh? So I just sewed all around that eyeball right there. Now when I sew around these circles in here, I mean you sew 2 stitches turn, 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 and you do a much narrower width of a zigzag. Okay? Another area that you have to learn how to do is points. This is an outer point, this is an inner point, and what you do in those areas is as you're sewing, you make your zigzag a little narrower, a little narrower, a little narrower, a little narrower till you get to the point, and then you start out narrower, going the other way and get a little wider, a little wider, a little wider, a little wider, okay? So I can't show you all of that stuff because it would take 3 days to upload it on YouTube here. I could show you if I was at my other house. But when I get this guy done, I'll show you the whole owl, okay? Okay, y'all, I came back just to show you this inside curve here real quick, this point. And the thread is kind of a light thread on a light fabric, so I don't know if it's going to show up very good, but I'm going to try to film it for you. Okay, so my zigzag is at a 3 right now. Sewing and turning just like before, okay? And I'm getting nearer and nearer this point, so I'm going to start. This area in here is very thin, and if I have a really wide zigzag, I'm going to zigzag right into this circle here, and I don't want to make my thread go over to here. So I'm going to make my zigzag smaller, 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 just 1 dot at a time till I get down to this point, okay? So here I go. I'm going to start. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm stopping at the point. I'm going to zigzag a couple stitches past the point. Now I'm still at the same width. Coming back up. Now I'm going to go 1 bigger, 2 bigger, 3 bigger, 4 bigger, Now I'm back to where I was, okay? Let me finish going around here. We're doing it outside. Stopping on the outside, turning. Stopping on the outside, turning. I'm coming a little past the fabric here because I wanted his eye to be a little bit wider. Now you realize that all of these pieces are already held down with steam-a-seam. They are glued down. They are not moving. So I haven't even put any backing on the back of this owl. I did put backing on a lot of them, but I actually forgot to put it on this guy, and he seems to be sewing just fine. Now I'm coming into his beak, so I'm going to do the zigzag little, tie off with the straight stitch, jump the beak, start with the straight stitch again, start with the zigzag, little, back up, little, bigger, bigger, back to 3 again. Oops, and I think I went a little past 3. You want it to be exactly the same when you meet up to where you were. One little dot on the zigzag scale isn't going to make a huge bit of difference, but I like it perfect, so there, exact. Now I'm going back to straight stitch, and I'm moving my material over so I'm next to the zigzag. Sewing next to the zigzag with a few straight stitches, okay? My scissors, let me show you the point up here at the top of his head and how it looks. Let me turn the camera so I can see what you can see. And there it is. See the point? Very nice, huh? So, if you really want to learn how to do applique, Anne, I would cut out some circles, some squares, some triangles, steam a seam on the back, iron them down to a piece of fabric, and practice. Okay? That's it for now. Bye, guys.